Hey friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning into What Does It Take to Win. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're trying to stay warm. Up here on the East Coast, we had quite the Arctic blast for the past couple of days, and it was just bananas. It was really cold. So hopefully wherever you are, it's nice and warm. Hey, I just wanted to give a quick reminder that I did release some new music back in August 2023. It's a new EP entitled Perspective. I want you to go ahead and check that out. I also have a catalog of music that you can check out as well. Just click the link in the description and it's going to take you to all of the music that I have released. If you're looking to purchase some instrumentals, lease beats, or if you just want something custom or tailor-made to your vision, you can actually just check out my SoundClick. So go to soundclick.com/churchd, and I have over 100 beats, actually over 160 beats that are available that you can go ahead and lease. If you want exclusive rights, we can talk about that as well. Or if you simply would like production, just reach out to me. You could book a session on my the link that's in the description, and we can go from there. Hey, something really exciting is also coming up in February. So it will be on Saturday, February 3rd, depending on the time you're listening to this. It may or may not have passed, but it will be Saturday, February 3rd, 2024. My wife and I will actually be a part of a relationship panel. So we'll be going through different questions that people are curious about when it comes to relationships and marriage. It'll be us and a couple of other really nice couples on that panel. So I'd like for you to go ahead and check that out. It's taking place in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So if you would like more details, go ahead and reach out to me and we can get that squared away. It'd actually be a good idea to tell you the name of the panel. So the name of the panel is called When You've Found the One. Okay, I'll say that one more time. It's called When You've Found the One. It's going to be very good. I'm pretty excited about it. My wife is excited about it. So we look forward to that. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the topic of the hour, or the 15 minutes, like I like to say. So this is episode number 50, and I believe that's quite a milestone. I first got started on this podcast in 2018, and thankfully, with the help of God, I've been able to remain consistent. 6 years later? That's incredible how 2018 was 6 years ago. Anywho, I believe I've shared a little bit of how I got into doing this on a prior episode, but if not, I could share a little bit of that again now. I remember it was back in 2010. I was playing at a church. I was playing just piano, no type of keyboard, no type of other instruments, but pure piano. So I had to know how to play, but that's besides the point. And after the service had ended, somebody came up to me who happened to be in radio, and he greeted me. He was like, "Hey, brother, I like the way you play, etc." I was like, "Oh, well, thank you." And then he heard my voice and he stepped back and he kind of looked at me. He's like, "Whoa, you have the perfect voice for radio." And I was like, thanks, I think. But that wasn't the first time I've heard that. And I wasn't quite sure how to get into doing anything that was even remotely related to radio or anything of that sort. So I began to do research and try to look up how I could, start my own radio station or something along those lines back then. And I couldn't find anything. So we fast forward to the year 2018, with the help of technology and all of these great groundbreaking ideas from, really cool people, to say the least, I was able to start this podcast. And my focus of this podcast is mainly how to obtain success, just be successful in life, how to deal with, the daily struggles of life, keep your mind right, and mental health. So I would say the umbrella of this podcast is mental health. Okay, so that's a little bit about that. And with that being said, I believe that's actually a great segue into the topic that we'll be talking about in episode 50. This will actually be the mental health break part 3. I've noticed through analytics that part 1 and part 2 were my most popular episodes. So I figured, why not do part 3 for episode 50. So if you're listening to this, share it with somebody. You could share it with anybody. Share it with your spouse, share it with your family members, share it with your children, share it with people at work, share it with people at church, Share it with people at the gym, wherever you go and hang out. If you meet somebody at the club, share it with them. Okay. But yeah, just go ahead and share this. I believe it's going to be very beneficial to helping us take a mental health break. So the title of this episode is The Mental Health Break Part 3. Are you the problem? Okay, I'll say that one more time. The Mental Health Break Part 3. Are you the problem? Now, this is a tough pill to swallow and often something we never want to face. Believe it or not, sometimes we're standing in the way of our own happiness. So I'm going to, as always, bring to light 3 focal points just to consider, to sort of dwell on and, ask yourself questions. So the first point is your mind right? The second point is, what's bothering you? And the third and final point is that life is too easy. Okay? So let's start with the first point. Is your mind right? Now, I would say this is the most important focal point that I'm going to discuss because everything starts in your mind. Whatever is in a man's heart is what he ultimately becomes. So let's think of this. If you meditate on something, eventually you'll act upon it. You could sit around all day and meditate on how hungry you are and, what you would like to eat. And eventually you're going to get up and pick out what you'd like to eat. That's very simple, right? Okay. Let's think of it like this. Let's say you have a desire, you have a dream in life. Or for example, myself, I was told that I had the voice for radio. I began to think on that. Okay, radio. How can I get into this? Where do I start? This was on my mind for years. I did the research, and here we are. I'm here podcasting and offering you advice on how to be successful. Now, this is important to understand when identifying if you're the problem or not. You should ask yourself, what am I always thinking about? Is what I'm thinking about bringing me joy, inspiring me, or at least edifying? Now, if you've answered no to all 3 of those questions, chances are you might be the problem. You might want to try to shift your mindset to a more positive outlook on your situation. Hey, if your situation sucks, it's only a matter of time before it becomes better. What I did, what I learned to do is pretty much just strategize and work towards it, and that's what makes your situation better. Let's say you didn't receive the call that you were looking to receive, like for a job, or if you're in the music or arts industry for a gig, you didn't get that call back. I would suggest that you count that as a blessing because it probably wasn't something for you, and something even better is right around the corner. I'll give you an example. I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but, to those who are new to this podcast, I can't really remember which episode I said it in, so I'll say it again for your sake. I remember working at a place when I was fresh out of college, and it was corporate America, obviously. Fresh out of college, and I was just like, you know what? I don't mind working here. I walked up to the window. There was a nice view. I looked out. I was like, okay, this is really nice. My coworkers appeared to be fairly pleasant as they could be in corporate America, right? There were some perks too, because there were free snacks available the entire workday. So instead of having to make breakfast at home or preparing for a lunch, if you forgot your lunch or whatever, it's free snacks. You just go and get it. And they were really good snacks. As a matter of fact, it wasn't just like, trail mix or chips and crackers, but that's besides the point. So I remember working at this job, and I said to myself, and I said to God, I was like, hey, I don't mind working here and letting this be my career for like the next 30 years. But God, if you have something better for me, just get me out of here. Okay. I don't want to stay here wasting my time if you have something better for me. About 3 weeks to a month later, I was out of that job, out the blue. The manager came back from her vacation, and she was in not so great of a mood. I don't know if her vacation wasn't long enough for her, but I remember being pulled aside by one of my coworkers, who was also really nice. And she said to me, she was like, hey, she was sort of hinting at something, but I didn't catch on. I guess I was a rookie in the game. She's like, hey, if there's something you'd like to get off of your chest right now and say it to the manager, I think it'd be great. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? I like it here. It's great. But little did I know that would be my last day at that job. And it was a good thing that happened that way, because shortly after that, that was when I began my season of touring the world, and 20 countries later, here I am. Okay, so that was just, a little story to open up your thinking and open up your perspective. Here's another story. Let's say, well, it's not quite a story, but let's consider this. Say you're in a relationship and you believe that you're going to be with this person. You're going to marry them and you're going to just be with them for life. You guys are going to have children together. But you notice that something isn't quite right with this relationship. You all have been trying and trying to make it work, but there's been a lot of arguments. There's been a lot of friction, and everything is just not working out. Out of nowhere, this relationship ends. And now you're heartbroken. You're like, wow, I've invested this time, so much of my efforts into this, and it just ended out of nowhere. But then somebody else comes along and everything just clicks. There might be disagreements here and there, but you all are able to talk with one another, talk it out, and work out these disagreements pretty smoothly and pretty quickly. Something completely different from what you've been used to. Count that as a blessing, because chances are that previous relationship was not meant to be. That's a whole nother episode. Matter of fact, I might talk about that on the panel. So all to say, count it as a blessing. If it didn't work out, if you didn't get that call back, if you didn't get that dream job or gig that you were hoping to get, don't worry. There's always something better for you. God's got your back. Do your best to make sure that it's not bothering you. As a matter of fact, that's a good segue into the second point. What's bothering you? Is your situation bothering you, or is it your mindset that's causing you to believe that your situation is bothering you? Sometimes we're our own biggest problem. It's important to get to the root and identify what's bothering you so it can be corrected. If it's indeed an outside situation, you can make the necessary adjustments so it won't affect you. I talked about this in a previous episode. They can range from a confrontation to not even acknowledging the issue and simply removing yourself. In other words, ignoring the foolishness. If it's an internal discomfort, this can be corrected fairly quickly with a more positive mindset, as mentioned. A lot of us nowadays, I believe, have been taking the non-confrontational route when it comes to situations, and that's understandable. It's okay to be selectively confrontational. And I say that because you wouldn't want to go and fight every single battle. You're just going to use up all of your energy. Some battles really aren't that important to fight, and you could honestly ignore the foolishness. But some battles do require confrontation. And now when it's time to confront the issue, you don't necessarily have to be abrasive about it or aggressive. A simple confrontation can be, hey, I wasn't really pleased with the way this was handled. What can we do to make it better for both of us, for both parties? That's a form of confrontation. You don't have to go to the situation or the issue in a rage with anger and say, okay, this needs to happen or else. It's almost like you're threatening those who are a part of the situation or the issue at hand. You don't have to do that. You just go up and you make the necessary adjustments and you move forward from there. Now, if those who you are confronting do not want to take the peaceful route, then yes, of course, you're going to have to turn up. That's slang, but I think you understand what I'm saying. You're going to have to apply a little bit more pressure and, make it known that, hey, I don't appreciate this and I don't appreciate how you're handling it. You can use your own discretion and deal with it accordingly. Now, if it is an internal struggle that is bothering you, so it's something that nobody else did to you, but it's a way you feel on the inside, I would suggest to begin asking yourself questions. What's bothering me? Why is it bothering me? Does it have any power over me? How much power does it have over me? Just begin to ask yourself questions until you get to the root cause of what is exactly bothering you. And you'll find 90% of the time that it's something you can handle. It's something you can just deal with on your own. And it's not that big of a deal. At that point, you'll be able to address the issue that you have from within, deal with it, and then move on. I think that pretty much summarizes the second point. So let's go ahead and move on to the third and final point for the sake of time. And the third and final point is life is too easy. Sometimes life is just too easy for us. And that's where a lot of our issues come from. This sounds crazy, but it's been an observation that I've made for probably a little bit over 10 years now. People who have somewhat of an easier life tend to find or even create issues to stress over. Okay, let me clarify this. What I mean by an easy life is a life from childhood to adulthood where they didn't really have to struggle or be independent, but rather if something goes wrong, even if it's minor, they have a supporting cast or supporting team who will end up solving the whole issue for them. Let's take some time and let that really sink in. Those of you who have worked in corporate America, I'll use this example because corporate America really wasn't that fun. But those of you who've worked in corporate America, or better yet, even gone to college or university, might have encountered, let's say, the owner of the company, right? You might have encountered their children. Now, a lot of times, this might not be for everybody or every CEO or owner of any company, but a lot of times their children don't really know what's going on and what to do, but they're getting all of these benefits and all of these perks, and they're just able to do pretty much whatever they want. And at the most minor inconvenience to them, all they have to do is run crying to their parent and say, hey, I didn't like this. And, the parent takes care of everything. Even if it's as minor as, I didn't like how this person said hi to me this morning, or I didn't like how they stirred their coffee. I'm telling you, I've seen things like this. But the flip side to that is oftentimes these same children tend to have the most, we could say, mental health challenges. Okay, we'll use that. They have a lot of mental health challenges. And if it's somebody from the outside looking in who might not have been as fortunate as the children of those who own these companies, they might say, man, if I had that life, I would love it. I wouldn't have anything that's bothering me. But then here's something to think about. Their life was so easy. Everything was handed to them that now they've begun to create issues that did not even exist. My question is, are these issues created because they just wanted something to complain about? Or could it be that they need to feel some sort of pressure or some sort of struggle, or we as humans need to feel that in order to appreciate things in life or in order to make us better? So that's something to consider, something to ponder. Now, my life has not been as difficult, nearly as difficult as many of the stories I've heard. But at the same time, it wasn't exactly easy and a bed of roses. There were times in which I did have to go through struggles and rough patches. And that's made me much more appreciative of the nice things that I have now. So all to say, when your life is too easy, you tend to become a bit more bratty and less appreciative of things. You might create issues of your own that really aren't that important, but you'll find something to stress about. And that, my friends, was my third and final point. So let's do a quick recap. The first point is your mind right? Remember, whatever is in a man's heart is what he ultimately becomes. The second point, what's bothering you? Is your situation bothering you, or is it actually your mindset? If this is something that you're internalizing, you can actually handle it internally. If it's external, confront it. Don't be afraid of confrontation. And the third and final point, life is too easy. Sometimes our lives are simply too easy, and we end up creating issues that don't even exist, and we stress over them. Don't do that. Take a mental health break and ask yourself, am I the problem? Thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope it blessed you and I hope it encouraged you. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to share this. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people you don't even like. Share it with that person who keeps bothering you for advice. I got you covered. And lastly, if you'd like to connect with me, just click the link in the description for all of my content. I have some great things in store for you. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.